When it comes to trying to understand why poverty has remained persistent in Africa, a common talking point among Africans is neocolonialism. And of course, neocolonialism is the idea that despite flag independence, African countries are still under the influence of external powers. These external powers have extractive interest in Africa, and because of that, Africa has remained trapped in the cycle of poverty. So, in other words, Africa is not truly independent. Now, I just finished reading an article titled "Is Africa Being Neocolonized" by Magatte. If you don't know Magatte, she is a Senegalese American who promotes free markets and entrepreneurship in Africa. And so, in this article, she's coming from that perspective. For starters, she argues that Africa is being neocolonized to the degree that Africa is being neocolonized because African countries have weak institutions and African countries are poor. So in other words, it is this poverty and weakness that make African countries susceptible to foreign influences. And the only way for us to escape that is to create wealth. She makes an interesting argument on human nature. The truth is, human history is full of horrible things, and no single society, no single race has a monopoly on evil. In pre-colonial Africa, wars were fought, people enslaved themselves, and so this constant bashing of Europe, this constant demonization of Europe is not painting the full picture. No single human society has the monopoly on evil. Also, she talks about how people use neocolonialism as a mere rhetorical talking point. She uses the example of Robert Mugabe. Robert Mugabe constantly blamed Europe, he constantly blamed America and all that. And yet, he himself instituted very terrible economic policies that made his own people poor. So she's talking about how people use neocolonialism as a cop-out, as a way to absolve themselves of their responsibility. The gist of the article is the more we keep complaining about neocolonialism, the less likely we are to look inwards and do the things we have to do to create wealth. Yeah, so let me know what you think about our arguments on neocolonialism.